Hey everybody. Today I just want to do a quick, easy routine to get you moving and get you on with your day. So go ahead and grab a mat or clear a space and let's get started. Today we're going to get started in easy cross-legged. Unless easy cross-legged isn't easy, then find something that is, if that means you want to take a leg out or sit differently. Take a moment to find the sit bones grounding down, the spine lifting up, the heart open, the shoulders soft, and the crown of the head reaching up towards the sky. Take a moment just to find the breath, to notice the breath, and let that breath move through the body, bringing your awareness into the body. And then we're going to start to find a few small movements. So maybe we just drop the right ear towards the right shoulder. Maybe we roll the chin down towards the chest and bring the left ear towards the left shoulder. Keep the spine tall. Maybe we go back to the right side, just opening up through each side of the neck. And back around to the left. Bringing the head back up to center, we're going to try a little side stretch. So we're going to take the left hand out towards the left side, might be by the hip, might be just a little further out. We're going to inhale that right arm up and over. Grounding down through that right sit bone as we reach out through those right fingertips. You could walk those left fingertips out a little further or put a bend in the elbow. Make sure you're creating length and space through the left side of the torso as well. Inhale, we'll lift up. Exhale, we'll release. Right hand down. Inhale that left arm up. And we come over to the other side. Find length and lift, creating space as we breathe. Inhale, we'll lift up. Exhale, we'll relax down, and we'll come over to hands and knees. Finding the wrists beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips, nice long spine in between. We'll take a few cat-cow postures here. Inhale, lifts the head and the hips, opens the heart. And exhale, we round the spine, dropping the head and the hips. Feel free to move side to side here, creating some barrel rolls. Maybe up through the left, down through the right, or reversing that circle. Feel free to get the head into it, the hips into it, really loosening things up however it feels good. Planting the hands firmly on the ground, we're going to tuck the toes and exhale, downward facing dog. Lift those hips up and back. Maybe keeping a bend in the knees. Maybe lengthening through one leg and then the other. Really opening up through the shoulders, bringing the arms in line with the spine. Maybe you want to see about taking the right leg up towards the sky. You could open the hip, you could bend the knee, wiggle the toes. Right foot comes down, left leg lifts up. Again, open the hip, wiggle the toes. Left foot comes down. This time let's keep the hips square and lengthen through that right leg, lifting it up. And then we'll bring that right foot forward for a runner's lunge. Sink the hips down, lengthen the spine. You could try a twist here. Left hand stays on the ground. Right hand might come to the thigh or reach up towards the sky. Keep breathing. Find that strength through the legs, hugging the legs into the inner thigh. All right. Right hand comes back down, stepping back. Downward facing dog, shift around. Lifting the left leg up, keep that leg nice and straight, lifting it up, keep the hips square. And then bringing that left foot through. Runner's lunge. Again, checking in that the knee is over the ankle. Finding strength through the legs, and then maybe adding in the twist. Right hand to the ground, left hand to the thigh or the sky. Hug those thighs in. Keep that bend in the front knee. Left hand comes back down, we step back. Downward facing dog, shift around. Then we'll go ahead and take a moment in child's pose. Knees might be wide, hips settle back towards the heels, lengthen the spine, soften the heart and the head. Back onto hands and knees. Knees in line with the hips, tuck the toes, exhale, downward facing dog. And take a moment, shift the hips, lengthen a little more through the back of each leg. All right, we'll take the right leg up. This time, we're going to see about finding an exhale. We move forward. And maybe that right knee comes to find that right elbow. And then back up. If you want to try that again, if you want to try and bring that right elbow, that right knee to the left elbow. And we'll try that one more time on each side. Use that breath. Reaching that right leg up one more time. That right leg comes back down. And we'll try the other side. Left leg lifts up. Left knee to left elbow. And back up. Left knee to right elbow. And back up. One more each side. Building a little bit of heat in the body here, warming things up. Reach that leg up. And we come back to downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. You want to stay here. You want to rest again in child's pose. Finding your breath, turning the awareness inwards. All right. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Again, that right leg lifts up. This time we're going to reach that right foot through, Plant the right foot on the ground and drop that left knee for a crescent lunge. You can bring the top of that left foot to the ground or keep the toes tucked, whatever feels better on your knee, you decide. And then maybe we stay here for a moment, just sinking the hips down. If we notice the knee coming all the way past the toes, maybe working that foot a little further forward. It's all right if it comes a little past the ankle, but if it's coming much past the toes, you're putting too much strain on that ankle. So find your strength, your stability, your foundation. And then if you'd like, maybe you bring the hands up to the knee to help lift the torso, and maybe the arms even reach up towards the sky. As we sink the hips down, soften the tailbone down, engage the core, soften the shoulders, open the heart. And then bringing the hands back to the ground, we're going to shift the weight back, lengthen through that front leg. Two options here. If you want to keep the toes on the ground, you're working a little more into the top of the foot and all the way up into the shin. Or if you want to bring the toes away from the ground, digging the heel into the earth, you're starting to work a little more through the hamstrings and calf muscles here. Soften the heart over that front leg. And then as you're ready, walking the hands forward, tucking those back toes, and as you're ready, downward facing dog. Other side, left leg lifts up, left leg comes through. Right knee drops to the earth, and maybe the top of the foot comes to the earth. And take a few breaths here to really settle in. Find your foundation, let the hips sink. If you need to adjust the left foot a little bit. And then hands might come up towards that left thigh. Hands might reach up towards the sky. Take a few breaths here, just letting the hips sink down, letting the spine lengthen, the heart open. And then letting the hands come back to the ground. We lengthen through that front leg. Again, either toes stay to the ground, or we pull the toes back towards the torso as we soften over that front leg. And then coming forward again, tucking those back toes, pressing into the hands, downward facing dog. Shift around, shake it out. Take a few breaths here. And then when you're ready, we'll come over to a seated position. So taking a couple breaths here, we're going to come into bound angle pose. Heels together, knees open up. And play with this little if you need a little more space so that the knees can relax down, or if you can pull the heels together. But if the knees start to pop up, allow yourself a little space so the knees can relax. Press into the sit bones, lift up through the spine. Open the heart. Maybe hang on to the ankles. If you're going to start to come forward, think about hinging at the hips and bringing the heart towards the toes, not the head towards the toes. Couple breaths here. And then inhale, we lift up. We're going to take the legs long. I'll turn to the side so you can see a little bit better. We're going to press energy out through the heels. Take a moment to find those sit bones. Move around if you need to. So we're pressing down through the sit bones to help lift the spine up and pressing out through the heels to help lengthen through the legs. We might even bring the hands towards either side of the hips to help us lift up, finding staff pose. One long line from hips through heels, and one long line from hips all the way out through the crown of the head. For a lot of people, especially with tight low back and hips, this is plenty. Stay right here. If you want to come forward, think about hinging at the hips, and maybe just an inch will do it. You might start to walk the hands forward. And again, think about reaching the heart out towards the toes, not just dropping the head and rounding the spine. And maybe you don't get as far that way, but you feel more. Go to that place where it feels good. Inhale, lengthen, open the heart. Exhale, maybe we move just a little bit further. Keep breathing. Use that breath to move through those tight spaces to help open them up. And then inhale, we'll lift back up. We're going to work on boat pose. So we're going to bend the knees, bringing the feet to the earth so that the sit bones are pressing down, helping to lift up the spine, keeping that heart open. Hands come behind the thighs, maybe 1 foot at a time. We start to lift the feet off the earth. Find that grounding sensation through the sit bones that's lifting you up, opening the heart. Maybe the heels start to come away from the earth so that the legs are parallel with the ground. Maybe we extend the arms. Maybe we even play with extending one leg, the other leg, maybe both legs. You might shake a little. That's a good sign. That means things are working. Couple more breaths. All right, then we're going to bend the knees and we're just going to round the spine, hugging the knees. Okay, we're going to do that one more time with a little bit of a twist. So we're going to again find our boat pose. Lift up. Find length through the spine, openness through the heart, extending out through the arms. And this time, we're going to add a little twist. So both knees go over to the right, hands go to the left, and then we switch. So back and forth. Working a little bit into those side obliques. Using that core to stay lifted and long. You can go slow or as fast. You could stop doing this if it doesn't feel good. Maybe a couple more. And then we'll go ahead and again release, rounding the spine, hugging the knees. From here, we're going to come down onto our backs, lying down, finding length through the spine. Taking a moment to connect again with the breath, to check in on how the body's doing. Make any adjustments we need to create space so that the back can settle into the earth. From here, we're going to work on bridge pose. So bringing the heels in a little closer to the hips. Maybe you can even feel those heels, maybe not quite. Arms pressed down into the ground on either side of the torso. And the nose points up towards the sky. We're going to press the back of the arms, the shoulders, the heels down. And as we're ready, we're going to inhale, lift the hips, and open up through the front body. Keep breathing, hugging those thighs in so the knees stay over the ankles. And then exhale, rolling the spine down. We hug the knees in towards the chest. Let's go ahead and take both legs up towards the sky. going to see about pressing energy out through the heels. Now, if you need a little bend in the knees because the back of the legs are tight, go ahead and take that. But maybe we can work to straighten the legs and press through the heels. So we're really extending through the calf and hamstring muscles. Want to wiggle the toes for a breath or two. Move the ankles around. And then we're going to see about taking the legs a little bit wider apart. And you find what wide works for you. Maybe you use the hands on the outside of the thighs to help guide you. Maybe we slowly start to open those legs a little bit wider, opening up through the inside of the thighs. A few breaths here. Inhale, we bring those legs back up. And then nice and slow, we're going to drop the legs to the ground, taking your time here. Use the hands to help ground you down. And exhale, we just slowly start to lower the legs. And this could be a long process for you. This could go quick. You do what feels good. Engage the core. Ground down through the low back. Keep breathing. Gets harder the lower you go. Feel the shake. And eventually you find the ground. All right. Taking a couple breaths here just to let the belly soften. We're going to find a nice lumbar roll. So keeping the right leg long, we bend the left knee. Arms might be out in one long line. You want to press into that left foot to tuck the right hip under. We exhale, left knee comes over towards the right side. Keep the heart open, that left shoulder grounded, maybe even turning the gaze towards that left hand as we let that right knee guide, find its way across the body. That right hand can help guide that left knee. Take a few deep breaths here. And then we'll inhale, lift that left knee back up. And changing sides. Left leg is long, right knee bends. You want to tuck that left hip under, right knee comes across. And keep that right shoulder anchored down. Left hand can come to help guide that right knee across, maybe even turning the gaze towards that right hand. And back to center. Shifting the hips, taking any other final movements you need here. You want to open the hips. You want to take a long stretch. You feel like you need to hug the knees in, or maybe even a little happy baby here. Whatever final movements you need to take. As we start to settle down for Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. Taking some time here to settle in. Legs might be long. Arms could come out to the side or rest on the belly. Low back softens towards the earth. Shoulders soften. Heart is open. Eyes close. Take a few breaths. Settle into the body. Settle in to the stillness. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. And when you're ready, you may start to find small movements, find deeper breaths, awakening the body. Just starting to stretch however it feels good for you. You could hug the knees in. You could roll over onto one side. And eventually, finding your way back to seated. Taking a moment just to feel the breath, to feel the body, and to be grateful for everything you've got. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.